everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Today we're going to do a comparison video. We're going to take a look at two live albums by Roger Waters. We're going to look at The Wall that was recorded in 1990, and then 25 years later, he records The Wall again in 2015. And so a little bit of background on The Wall itself. It is a Pink Floyd album. It's considered one of the greatest concept records that has ever been done. This thing has sold over 25 million copies. So, I mean, it's just huge. The gist of this thing is that there is Pink, this rock star who has a dissociative breakdown from society, can't deal with it, pulls himself away from it and builds a mental wall, blocking himself off from everything, and of course everything that ensues based on that. And so that's the album. And at the time, Pink Floyd only did like about 30 shows for it, and ultimately was just too expensive to stage. Many years later in 2000, this live album called Is Anybody Out There did come out, where Pink Floyd is performing the Wall itself in its entirety. So you do have the studio album, you've got Pink Floyd performing it live, you've got the 1982 movie of this, and then you've got two of these live albums by Roger Waters, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So the first one we're going to take a look at is this one here, done in 1990, live in Berlin. And as it says, it was recorded in Berlin. And the key thing to remember about this is, this was done 8 months after the fall of the Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall dividing East and West Berlin, and had been up since the end of World War II. So this was a big, big moment that this wall came down. And so to stage this there, and for the people of West Berlin and East Berlin that had never gotten to see something like this, that was a pretty big deal. And so there's that sort of aura going on regarding it. But the main difference beyond just the event and the timing is who's on this. So this album is more like a musical and or Broadway production where there's a lot of guest artists on it, and there's actors taking on the personas that act out this concept album and everything as it had done in the movie. And so some of those musicians, guest performers that are on this thing, they've got Bryan Adams, they've got Levon Helm of the band, they've got Paul Kerouac, Thomas Dolby, the Hooters, the New Wave Group, they've got Cyndi Lauper, Joni Mitchell, Van Morrison, Sinead O'Connor, and the metal band The Scorpions performing on this. And so the biggest thing that I notice in the difference of this album versus the other ones is that the variety of the musicians and who's on it. So there's much more ebb and flow to this album, because you get the different sounds of when a different guitar player comes on to play a lead, a different vocalist is there. When you do have a famous lead vocalist from a band performing, but then you've got other famous people singing the backgrounds on it and things of that nature. So Roger Waters takes more of a back seat to this performance here. He does perform on every track, he does sing lead on some of them, but he's more like a backing musician to the big stage production that this is with all of the celebrities and musicians and people that are partaking in it. And so that does lead to a different feel for this album, in my opinion. Now, the one that he did here in 2015, this one is more of a straight ahead Roger Waters live performance. Now, with that being said, he does have someone who is singing all the parts that David Gilmour is singing. That person is Robbie Wyckoff. And so you have really two main vocalists on this performance of. You have Robbie and you've got Roger. And so you hear Roger about half the time on it, and otherwise you hear this other vocalist. But it sounds much more like a band effort. And I would also say, just in the production of this thing alone, it's got much more of a sort of bombastic, big feel to it than the other version that was done in 1990. And so if you're looking for one that is more a straight ahead Roger Waters representation of what the studio album from '79 was, I would say it's this version of The Wall here, done in 2015. But if you're looking for something a little different, you've heard The Wall so many times as we all have, and you want to hear something that's out of the ordinary, there's this version of it where there's a lot of different guest performers and musicians and people on it, and so you get a really different take of it. And so there you go, you've got two different versions of The Wall. You've got this version here with many different performers, and you've got orchestration and things of that nature. And then you've got this straight ahead performance of it here. Interestingly, with this one here, there is one new track that was written for it. It's a short track at about 1:45 but it's called The Ballad of Jean Charles de Minza. And so there is one new track that Roger Waters did write for this, and there is a few reworkings, as Roger Waters likes to do, and mix things up like that, whereas this one here is more of a sort of straight ahead approach of it. Now, both of these albums do have videos that go along with them, so if you do like these, there's a video for each one. In my opinion, this is the better video, but this one here might be the more interesting one with all the performers on it. All right, so there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have a favorite one. All right, hope everyone has a great day, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.